got those
being
guys.
busy does not equal being productive.
I mean, I don't understand how people get thrilled off of it and they're like hitting the street.
Jamming
pole.
into it. Oh
Yeah.
my
Wrong.
god.
Who's wrong? Like, I do not think that
don't
Amazon was wrong, because at what age did you make your first $1,000 and how? But I was so frustrated. I was like, I wanted to strangle somebody. I was so pissed off. 2 years down the line after that, it had a huge effect on me. Welcome to the DBLR Club, hosted by myself, Rami, and my partner here, Raf.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope everybody enjoyed the last episode. We released it a little bit late. I'm not gonna lie. We were hoping to get it out there a little bit earlier, but I think it was good. Hope everybody enjoyed it. But today we're giving you guys what we promised, or at least what Rami promised. We're gonna go a little bit about, into his story. First though, tell me about what happened this week. What's up with you? What's the story? What's up? What's new?
So as usual, my weeks are pretty eventful. A week in a business life is. So yesterday, I went by my buddy's shop and I walked into the shop and I just saw a street pole, I just see it laying, a huge street light, like the ones. I see it laying there and I'm like, what? And it was cracked in half.
Just a regular street light.
Just a regular street light.
Where'd you get it from?
I'll get to it. So I see a street light and I'm like, what? And he wasn't there, so I go and I filmed it. And I sent him the video. I was like, what's a street light doing in your in your garage? And he had it with clamps and all that on it. It's like he fixed it.
How do you even fix something like that? First of all, how do you take it home?
No one knows. I
truck?
didn't ask him. He tried to make it seem like it's a normal thing. Like he texted me back.
Regular Wednesday evening type thing.
Yeah. It's like, it happens every day type
Brother,
thing, right?
that's wild.
So it was just laying there and I asked him, what happened? He's like, what did he say? He said something like, oh, no, it's regular stuff just happened, It's just. So I ended up finding out that so they're actually in the plowing business too. It's one of my buddies, and he ended up hitting the street
jamming
pole.
into it. Oh my god.
He ended up hitting it and it fell.
And the boy just took it home.
He undid the electricals. He took it home and he's fixing it and he's gonna go reinstall it.
I just wonder, somebody walking by or just standing there seeing it all unfold.
I mean, listen.
I want to know, did he just over the shoulder, put on a truck? What did he even do?
I tried to move it, and it was pretty heavy. And I know the equipment he has, and I don't think he has the right equipment to bring a street pole. Those are oversized loads that bring those in. So he was fixing it. He fixed it.
Could you even rent one of those?
What?
The oversized.
No, I don't think you can. No, you
probably
need
gotta
a
get some
special
service
license.
for that.
No, you need a special license. You need your AZ, I think, your AZ
yeah,
license.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he's fixing it and he's going to go reinstall it without telling anyone. That's a landscape life though, you got to cut corners.
You got to do what you got to do.
Or else, insurance can get you a bunch of things.
Yeah, big time.
What happened with you this week?
Oh man, bro, this week was one of those weeks where you have so much things going on. It felt like a year. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, it's just been a head down in business to work type week. I did, however, I don't know if you heard about it recently, that one video rolling around the internet.
Oh, the one where the Amazon worker.
Yeah,
Amazon
bro,
worker
the one thing that's
passed
been
away.
rolling around the internet lately, though, for me is what really opened my eyes.
Yeah, that was really sad.
The Amazon worker who unfortunately passed away just outside the warehouse. This happened in London, I believe. And they had what was that?
So what it was, I think they had a fire alarm, and then everyone needed to evacuate. As per the standards in Ontario, you need to evacuate the building when there's a fire alarm. And they did so, but they stood outside for 20 minutes. And
essentially their Amazon warehouse sent the employees outside for 20 minutes in minus 20 degrees cold weather.
Who's wrong? I do not think that Amazon was wrong, because at the end of the day,
it's not their fault. If there's a fire in there, what do you got to do?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It is what it is.
Many people could have lost their lives if he was inside.
A lot of people were blaming. Here's the thing, though. All fire trucks, when they go and respond, I believe you know about this as well. You worked in bylaw. They have blankets. They have these type of support things in there, right? But you do realize, though, an Amazon warehouse at nighttime, that's peak workload.
You're looking at hundreds and hundreds of
people inside. I don't think these ambulance trucks are gonna have, or fire trucks even are gonna have enough blankets to, to take care of everybody.
Yeah, so that's more where no one was ready for the situation.
That's exactly it.
Because I'm sure Amazon has a bunch of things in place, so they won't ever have a fire, right? It's and I can really reflect on that, because I myself work in my industry is cold, right? I do snow removal in the winter, and we go out at the worst weather possible. Like it's like peak.
That's exactly
cold.
your job.
Yeah, it's like peak.
That's
cold.
your service.
Yeah, it's like we go out when it's when it starts storming, when it ends storming, we're out all the time. Whenever the snow starts dropping, my guys are working, I'm working, and we're always out getting ready. You know, there's a bunch of things that we do. You know, truck breaks down, you're outside for more than 20 minutes. You know, you need to get. It's all about on time. You know, it's just. I've never seen a guy personally. I've never even seen someone who got frostbites. Like I've never even seen that. In
Working.
Yeah,
I mean, especially the thing is, there's difference that you guys are working outside, whereas these guys were working inside, warm, came out, and were standing.
For sure, but I still don't understand. Right? Anyways, that was very unfortunate. You know that the employee did pass away. While I was scrolling on Instagram, I also saw a post, and it caught my eye, and it asked, "At what age did you make your first $1,000, and how?" So I'm gonna ask Raph this, like, how did you make your first $1,000? How old were you too, eh?
I think I was 16, actually.
Really?
I was kind of young, yeah. But it was, at the time, it was a multitude of things, right? I used to work at a mechanic shop as technically a repair guy, but like I didn't know how to do none.
Yeah, you're just like an assistant.
Bro, I was like literally like 16 years old. I was getting yelled at, working with a bunch of
get
like,
the bolts.
Yeah,
get the bolts.
cigarette smokers and that, getting told to go here and there. I was getting paid $10 an hour.
Oh yeah.
I was getting paid $10 an hour, slaving away. Yeah, here's a picture of it. You guys can see it on there. But anyways, but I was hungry, and it was not enough for me. So that's when I started doing a bunch of like side hustle things. I used to do snow removal for my neighborhood. I started helping people with their accounting. I was 16 actually. I had a couple clients, older guys still, but real estate agents who would come to me, and I would just do I was basically a bookkeeper.
You're just doing the boring part of accounting.
I was doing the boring part of accounting.
Yeah.
I was working the weekend shifts at the garage, and then I was also doing some of the snow removal.
And you also worked at a shawarma shop, no?
That was when I was 13. The time that I made $1,000 in that like a few days, I believe it was like in the span of 5 days, it was when everything aligned. I believe I worked 3 shifts in a row at the garage shop. I had 2 clients that I did some work for, and it snowed. Everything aligned in one time. But that was the least worth it. That was the least worth it, $1,000, because it was just.
But did you make $1,000 cash, or did you make $1,000 through the like legally?
No. It was all cash work.
This is all cash work.
Yeah.
But was it because you didn't have like a?
Yeah. I would say the first time, so that was the illegal way of making it. I would say the actual legal way that we know, straight up, it was when I did, when my photography business scaled up.
What was right? That, like, and we went 18.
It was when I was 18. And that's when we went from doing smaller university events to doing bigger commercial events for startups and stuff like that. And that was when we cashed out, I think it was $1,250. And brother, when I put that invoice in there for them, like here's $1,250 charge for the photography services, it was low-key. That's when it hit me. I was like, this is actually possible. Yeah. It's possible. Because we did it in like a day.
Yeah.
Technically, it was like 4 hours of work, 4 hours of editing, 8 hours. You're making, pretty good money. So that was interesting.
Yeah, there's not really overhead expenses in your business, no? Like it's just
overhead expenses in photography business is very, very interesting, because once you have the equipment, it's really your time.
So like, your only expenses are your equipment and servicing your equipment and buying your SD cards.
That's it, yeah. But the big thing is your time, travel as well, right? So because you're not getting booked, we're in the same spot every time. Yeah. A lot of times you got to travel to different areas.
Most of that's paid for.
But it really is covered. Photography is a very, very low overhead business, I would say. Any artist-based or any art-based business, I would say, is usually the same thing. Well, what about you though? How old were you when you made your first $1,000?
I was 14. I when I made my first $1,000. As soon as I turned 14, I applied at a job at a local diner, and apparently the owner hired me while he was drunk. He didn't realize he hired a 14-year-old as a host. I was a host at the front. I was greeting everyone. That was my first ever job, and I remember I started making plans. I was like, I'm gonna get a Gucci belt by next week. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get my sister a Gucci belt. I'm gonna get my dad a Gucci belt. And I got my first check, and it was $200. I was like, oh my god. So it took me some time. Like I did.
When was that? What was it? 2000 and like
2019.
2019. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So no. Yeah, 2019.
That's not long.
Holy cow, bro! 2019 felt like it was last year.
Yeah.
Bro, anyways, I made that $1,000, after a few months of working there, because I was working only weekend shifts, early mornings, Sunday mornings. Yeah. It was a diner, breakfast diner, Anyways, yeah, so that's when I made my first 1,000. That was all legal, and then that's when I started loving to work. Like I had a really good work ethic. You know, thank God I had a good work ethic when I was younger. And I started branching off and doing a bunch of things. Like, you know, I loved working. Like, I also loved school, but working was a big thing for me. Like, I loved it. It was a passion.
Yeah.
You know, it was more like a sport.
I think for me is when I discovered that I loved doing many things, many different things at a time, right? Back then is when it was like, I want to try this and I want to try this and I want to diversify what projects I take on. And I didn't truly understand how that could translate into business later in life. But I didn't really care at the time.
I thought it was easy to get rich.
I just loved working. I thought it was easy. I still think it's easy to get rich.
Okay.
I think it's easy. I don't think it's
easy to get rich.
Let's take it back. I think it's hard, but I don't think it's complicated.
That's a good one. Yeah, so it's not complicated to get rich. It's actually super simple. It's like
very simple
in front of you, but a lot of people are scared to take. It's risky.
It's risky, yeah.
You need to take the risk, and it's a hit or miss for some situations, or it's a hit all the time if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a hit every time if you know what you're doing and you know who you're interacting with and you know how you're portraying yourself out there.
What pushed you to take the risk? I mean, before we even get to that, you currently own one of the biggest home property maintenance businesses in the GTA. Yeah. Now, what really even prompted you, and how did that story even come about?
So it actually happened during COVID. Right, so
a lot of these things started for COVID for people.
But mine was really like a weird story. It's not like those COVID, like I became a millionaire during COVID. You know, it was like more like of a boring story in COVID, right? It was not you know eye catchy. It wasn't no eye candy in there, right?
Yeah.
But I started off when I was sitting at home during COVID and I had a lot of money, right? I was like 16 and it was a lot of money when I was 16 years old from working. I had around like I would say $8,000 sitting in the bank account doing nothing, right? I was like, wow. So I sat with my dad on the porch, and he told me to start a shoe business, right? And I was like, no, I'm not starting a shoe business. And
what does he mean by that, though? What's the shoe business? Like reselling? Or?
Like, yeah, he wanted me to start like a reselling business. Like, you know, you buy shoes, sell them, do that. And that was when that business was booming online, and just way too many people took it. It got way too saturated.
Yeah.
And then people need to find new ways of going. Anyways, I decided, whatever, I'm not going to do that. And I saw my dad saw the lawns out. He's like, why don't you start mowing lawns? I don't want to do that. There's too many people that do it, you know? Yeah. But it was only because I was out in the summer. You see them doing it in the summer. But when it's snowing, you're not there. So I was like, oh.
What do they do in the winter, right?
Yeah, I was like, I have the next brightest idea. I'm going to do snow removal, what no one does. Residential snow removal. And then when I first started my business, and I'm like, wow, there's so many companies that do this, right?
Yeah.
And I was really blind to it. I didn't really do my research at all. So I had money, so I bought a pickup truck. So I was 15 or 16. I didn't have my license. I was 15.
Yeah.
I bought a pickup truck. It was an Avalanche, a Chevrolet Avalanche. And then I got some flyers, and I found a name, and I named it 2 Guys, 1 Snowblower, because I did partner up with one of my buddies. I came to the idea with him, and we started giving out flyers. That first year wasn't too good. We didn't even break even. We made $1,000. The $1,000, we split it 500. The next year...
Profit. $1,000 profit.
$1,000. Not profit. We're talking gross. Like, I'm talking gross. Like, I had 3 clients, right? So, and I was driving around without my license. Like, I was crazy, right?
Yeah.
But it was for business purposes.
That era.
Yeah, it was for business purposes. And then the next year came. I didn't do any lawn maintenance or anything. The next year came. Next snow removal year came. We hit $13,000 or $14,000. We're like, wow. That's a lot of money, right? That was, again, we were like...
Just as 2 guys, 1 snowblower. So this is the getting pulled over and 7-figure business story. I know everybody wants to hear about it. Let us know. How do you get pulled over? Like, what does that even mean?
Okay.
When was this? How old were you?
I'll tell you everything. I was going to school one morning. This was after my 2 years of, making that much money.
Yeah, after making that 13K gross,
after making that 13K. Came that year. It was September. I was on my way to school. And I wasn't exactly the calmest driver out there. Like, I was pretty wild. I had a loud pickup truck, you know. I don't know why. It was just like, I bought it loud and it was just fun. You know, I was drifting around, you know. Got complaints on my truck. One morning I was leaving and I had enough complaints on my truck. So there was a cop sitting on the other side of the parking lot. And he followed me when I was on my way to school. And I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. It was just like, you know, it was morning. I was all tired. He followed me, pulled me over, bam, hit me with a I think it was like $260 no seatbelt ticket. You know, demerit points, all that stuff. Tried to pin me for other things, but didn't get it. And as we were mid-COVID, I ended up, you know, just saying, "Oh, here, I'm gonna fight against the ticket. I'm not paying it. I'm not losing 2 points, or else it'll bash me in the future, right?"
Yeah.
Came the time when I was applying for school, I was working really hard to go to Royal Military College.
For what?
Which is, I'll tell you, which is a university.
Yeah.
It's a military university in Canada. And I really wanted to be an RCMP officer. I wanted to be I wanted to go into detective since I was a kid. Like, everyone always talked about, oh, you're going to be a cop. Because I'm very nosy. I'm a nosy guy, right? So that was my dream, right? And came the time that I was applying. I applied. I got accepted. And then April, they came back to me. They said, do you have any charges? Do you have anything outstanding? And I told them, yeah, I have this one ticket.
And it came back to bite you, eh?
Yeah. So then they're like, okay, you have to resolve this ticket because we're not taking we're not going to be liable for you not showing up to your court date. Because at this military school, you need to be there 24/7. You're there 24/7, and every other weekend you get to go home. Right?
So they didn't want to let you go.
Yeah, this is in Kingston, by the way. So they didn't want to let me come back for my court date. And my court date they didn't give me a court date yet because they were so backed up. Right?
So
I was just stuck. I was like, okay. So they told me to go call the courts. I called courts, and all they could say is, thank you for your service, because I was applying for the military technically, but I was also going to university. Like, thank you for your service, but we can't do anything. Thank you for your service. I was trying for a month. They gave me a month. Came the end of the month. I didn't do anything about it. So I spent almost a year in training. It wasn't meant to be though, eh? Yeah, but I spent a year in training. I did a lot of training. Like, I did like my tests and all that. And it wasn't training. It was more like tests. And I spent a whole year almost doing all the training and just went out the window. I just crumbled it up like a piece of paper and threw it out the window.
What was your reflection on that? Why do you think things unfolded in that way?
Honestly, it's all God's work. Like, we all believe in God here. Like, me and Raph believe in God. So I believe it was all God's work, and it's where God wanted me to be today, and where I'm gonna be in the future, right? So everything is planned, right?
Everything's from Allah, and like, you never know where life is gonna take you. You never know. Maybe, bro, maybe you would have joined in, and then some sort of injury could come through, or
died on duty, or there's a lot of things.
That's it. Yeah, but it's crazy because you tried. The good thing though is you tried.
Yeah, but
you did everything you could.
But my dream didn't end there to become a police officer. So that was my grade 12 year, and I didn't apply to any other school because I did get accepted to the school. So I had no other plans. So that summer I was like, okay, I'm not gonna let myself fall down. I registered my business and I changed the name to RNS Flakes, which is Rami and Sam Snowflakes, right? So RNS Flakes. Okay. And then we started snow removal again the next year, and that's when we made we were high, and we were just.
So this is third year in business.
Yeah, we were just under $100,000. We could say, right? I'm not gonna say the specific numbers when it gets this high, but we were just under $100,000. Yeah. And we're like, wow.
So just under 6 figures.
Yeah, just under 6 figures. We're like, wow, this is crazy. And as I was doing my snow removal, I also got accepted to work as a bylaw officer in Burlington. Right, so I wanted to be in law enforcement. I wanted to try it out, test the waters. And I worked. I have crazy stories to tell you guys of what happened, in the further episodes, but in the future episodes, excuse me. But anyways, that came. We started working. We worked through the summer, and in our first month in the summer, like in May, we hit like $15,000, and then next $15,000, and we're like, a month. We're like, bam, 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 bam. We're hitting, numbers that we would never thought we were. But don't get me wrong, we were working like animals. We were working day in, day out, 6 a.m. till midnight. Like, I'm not joking, midnight. And then the next morning we'd have to wake up. Done. We had jobs lined up, people calling us. We were overwhelmed, but overwhelmed in the right way. You needed to stay. We needed to stay on top of our stuff. That summer, I had no life. I was working until around.
Didn't you still have another job though, or were you doing it full time?
So I was also helping a pizza shop that I used to work at, and I also did work at Trattoria Timon as like a cook. I had a bunch of things going. Like, I still worked bylaw until May. That's when I quit bylaw. Bylaw was night. My bylaw was night shift, right? So I was working from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah. So my shifts were long overnight, and then straight from there I would go do snow removal. So one time I went I think it was 36 hours no sleep. 36 hours, not no sleep. 36 hours straight working, right? I had bylaw, snow removal, and then I crashed. My body crashed. Like, I was sick. I couldn't sleep. I was so tired I couldn't sleep. Right? But anyways, came that. Then we were interested in buying another business, right? So we did buy out another business.
What do you think made you feel ready to then expand to buying the other business and then expanding in that way?
There's no such thing as being ready.
I see.
So that's what I really see it as. There's no such thing as being ready. I have people that are older than me in the business, and they're like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. It's risky. I don't listen to anyone.
Yeah.
I'm very hard headed. Like I'm sure the people.
What's your strategy for blocking that noise out?
There's no strategy. You just got to run through it, right? It's an obstacle that looks strong but is not strong at all, right? It's like running through a piece of paper, right? You just run through. You cannot stay there and just look at the obstacle. You got to go through it. Once you stay there and you start thinking about it, that's when you start getting scared and you're like, no, I can't do it, and then everything crumbles down on you.
I think one time I was really stuck on making a big decision in life. When it was very recently, actually.
What decision was it?
I'm not gonna mention it on the podcast, but I did call you about it, and I told you that I feel like this is the biggest decision I've ever had to take, and I don't know what to do. And one thing that you did tell me, and I'll never forget it, is there's no such thing as a big decision or a small decision.
Yep, it's all in your mind.
Any decision is just a decision. Just take it for what it is. Don't think of it as this is a huge decision or bad, because the strategy should not be any different.
Yeah, and
your strategy for making the right decision should be the same. Rational.
How did you feel after I told you that?
Honestly, right after that, I just thought, I just need to think what is the right decision and just take it. You stop overthinking. You stop putting all these inputs into the reasoning.
I feel in business, you really cannot take opinions of others too legitimate unless it's someone who's really trying to help you. Like, you got to understand who's helping.
Also has been working with you and understands your story.
Right. Yeah. They need to know
from the outside. Right? Exactly. From the outside.
You know, there's a lot of people I see online. They're reaching out. They're like, oh my God, this guy. You know, like the trend that was going around. It's like have dinner with Jay-Z or take $500,000.
Yeah.
You go have dinner with Jay-Z. He doesn't know you. He does not care about you.
He
doesn't know anything that happened to you. He can't tell you. He can't tell you what food you like. But then you go to your friend, and your friend knows exactly what you want. And your friend knows, like, like, if you look at me and you can tell when I'm sad, you can tell when I'm happy, you can tell when I'm gonna laugh, you can tell when I'm gonna faint, you can tell everything, right?
Yeah.
Jay-Z cannot tell that, right? Yeah. So there's no point. I would always take the $500,000. Just want to put it up. $500,000.
I don't want no Jay-Z, man.
But I'm just saying, I don't understand that trend. And
a
lot of people were saying, I seen a lot of people, they were trying to act smart in the comment section. Jay-Z, imagine, he can tell you this, he can tell you that. Jay-Z, anyone can tell you that. Your dad can tell you that. Your parents know best for you, right? It all comes back to that.
I think a lot of times, you know, one of the best quotes that I've heard recently is, the new form of procrastination is actually seeking knowledge.
Seeking knowledge from people.
So you know what it is, right? A lot of people think like, oh, I want to start an online business. And what they do, instead of actually trying to start it, they'll spend hours and hours and hours listening to motivational videos, listening to people telling them this is how you open an online business. So, but people don't realize that that's a form of procrastination, but they feel like that because they're busy, they're productive.
You got those
being
guys,
busy does not equal being productive.
You got those guys that they grab the mics. Like, those guys are making money off you watching.
You
got those guys grabbing the mics. They talk, do it, go to work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to hear you yell in my head. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't understand how people get thrilled off of it and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna go to work.
I don't know if I would say I wouldn't understand, because it feels good. You know, people think because I'm busy and I'm trying to do whatever I'm aspiring to do, that I'm being productive in doing it, right? Whereas that's not true. That's not how it works. Being busy does not equal being productive. Please always keep that in mind. But
that's true.
I do want to get back to your decision when you guys did buy out the new company. What was that process like? How do you even, where did you find it?
So let me tell you, there was a lot of people. I'm not going to mention names in this at all, right?
But
there was a lot of people, and a lot of people that were right close to me that were like, no, we're not doing this. You're not doing this. We're not doing this. You're not doing this. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm doing it. I'm telling you I'm doing it. They're like, where are you going to get that amount of money from? I told them, wait. Like, you're only 19. Where are you going to get? Wait.
So keep in mind, yes, this was a 6-figure business at 19 years old.
Not even 6 figures. Like, we couldn't even say we were only open for a year. We couldn't even show the bank that we had taxes or anything. There was nothing going on.
I see.
You know, it was like dead.
So 19 years old, the business is almost maybe a year. Not even a year. And you guys were making just under 6 figures, but you were trying to buy out another big company in the area.
So it all started when I found the business online, contacted the guy. He made me sign, an NDA and all that stuff. I'm not going to get too political.
Yeah. Was it just like a Google Maps search or what?
No, Google Maps.
Yeah, how did you find their business?
Oh, I see what you're trying to say. Oh, I just found that online. Like, I searched up businesses for sale.
Oh, okay.
I was really bored.
Yeah.
So I was getting bored. I was getting stagnant. So I'm like, I need to bump my stuff up. I need to find something to, like, give me a slap in the butt, right? boosted me up. I found that business. I seen that it was really expensive. Could not afford it. No one around me could afford it. I said, okay, perfect. That's my challenge. I went to banks. I went to people. No one can give me money. No one has money. Banks, they slammed the door in my face. Especially my own bank, RBC. They did not want me. Yeah. They said, get out of here. So I was like, okay. So I went around and I built a business plan. We hired an accountant. We hired lawyers. We dug into the business. And then I got all of the information I need. Take in. This was all within 6 months, okay? So I dug all the information, spent a load of money. Got all the information. I made a presentation with my partner. And then we went, I grabbed a lot of people that I knew. So I went out socializing, telling people about this, talking about it all the time. And then boom, out of like 10 people, one guy would say, I'm interested. Boom, take his email. I'm interested. Take his email.
So you got investors.
I had investors. I was posting online. I had around 6 investors interested. I crammed them all into one Zoom call, and we introduced the idea.
Imagine though, doing that at 19 years old is insane.
So we introduced the idea, and then we had it was literally felt crazy because people were calling after the call. They're like, I'll do X amount of money for X amount of percentage. I'll do X amount of money for X amount of percentage, right? And I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. So I'm there shaking. I'm shaking. I'm like, wow, it's a lot of money. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know who to answer. Right away, I told him, get back to you. Called my accountant, best accountant ever. Shout out to him if my accountant's watching. Even my lawyer is amazing. I called him. I was like, okay, who should I take? They're like, okay, let's sit tomorrow. So we sat tomorrow. And we sat tomorrow. We sat the next day, and then we talked about it. And I ended up taking one guy's offer it was a really good offer, and he does really give a lot to the business. Anyways, what the hardest part was?
What was it? What was the deciding factor on choosing the investor? Was it did you feel like somebody
really
caring about?
That's a really good question. So it was more about finding like. For sure, it's a silent investor, right? For sure, you're going you're getting him for his money, but then you also want support, right?
Yeah.
I'm young in this business. I don't get that much respect.
Yeah.
Right. My business gets respect, but when they see me, they're like, oh, who's this guy? Everyone thinks I'm an employee in my business.
Yeah.
It was more about the guy he helped us in the background, he helped us. He has a bunch of businesses. So
and hooked you guys up with connections as well, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, no, so I have a lot of connections myself. That's how I did, follow through with the industry, but he did come and help us a lot in the background, financials, assistance, a lot of just telling us what to do how to do it, teaching us. He's
a mentor as well.
Yes, very big thing is having a mentor, right? So he's very knowledgeable in that industry.
What's that process of doing the transition?
Yes.
Like what's the ownership like of the new business? How do you take it?
So that's the hard part, man.
I see.
So you really want to connect with the customers. You want to connect with the employees.
with their customers, right?
Yeah, with the employees. Honestly, we did not keep many of the employees at all, but we really want to connect with everyone and make sure that everyone knows who we are, knows that that we're taking over. But it needs to be very slow. It needs to be as smooth as butter.
Yeah,
when you smoothen your butter on the bread, that's how it needs to be. You cannot just go and lump your way in there, right? Everyone's gonna get scared. Everyone's gonna get scared and go boom.
Yeah.
Right? There was a little bit of hiccups here and there, but we transitioned. We took our business and we put it in there. We emailed all our customers. We told them we're changing our name once again, which is the last time. And we needed to transition all our trucks, all our banking.
So it cost quite a bit to actually.
It did. It cost. We were in 5 figures for transitioning, right? It cost us a lot of money, but hopefully we'll make it all back, and hopefully it'll keep on going. We're gonna run smooth. But yeah, that's my journey, and that's where I am today. I'm now we have quite a few crews. We have 9 crews running successfully.
Yeah, and that's a great feat, man.
Yeah.
And you haven't even clocked 20 years old yet.
Yeah,
that's amazing. But I got
this summer.
Inshallah. Yeah, that's amazing. That's very good to hear.
Thank you. Bro.
But that's one of many of our stories.
Yeah, but let me just cut you off right there. Yeah. Just all in all, me getting pulled over changed my whole life. It changed everything. I thought when I got pulled over, I was so frustrated. I was like, boom! I wanted to strangle somebody. I was so pissed off. I was like, I didn't even have that much money to spend back then because I was spending on my business, and it was just hectic. So when I got pulled over,
You thought it was the worst thing in the world.
It was like, yeah, I was like, I was scared of my parents. I wasn't even scared of the cops. I was scared of my parents, man.
Yeah.
My parents were going to come for me. We have Algerian parents, man.
Yeah.
Algerian parents are very rough, right? So I was getting yelled at, why'd you get pulled over? But yeah, so I didn't know it was going to change my life. But, 2 years down the line after that, it had a huge effect on me.
One of my favorite quotes from Steve Jobs, the owner of Apple, and I think it applies to the situation perfectly, is you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards.
Wow.
And, you could never know how just getting pulled over, how could that ever turn into a 7-figure business? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But it's never a linear story, right? You don't know how it would connect later in life. You can only see it, and it would only make sense looking back on it. So
yeah,
I would say, like, honestly, any decision that you have to take in life, don't think of, will this make sense in the future, because you'll never know, and you'll never really be able to see it. I think you just got to make the right decision, the best decision that you can take at that moment.
And what's scary is that sometimes that pullover can mean nothing.
It really can. You can get pulled over, you got to pay the fine, and that's it. End of story. But
it could mean nothing, right? I was also talking to my friends yesterday, and I was telling them, like my brothers, I was telling them, never ever think that this person has no meaning to your life. If someone crosses your path in your life, no matter what, even if it's just like a
nod,
like a
little
nod, that person can remember you probably made his day. That person could have been walking to a bridge. That person could have been, that person could have just lost their parents. That person, there was so much. You can never ever assume what someone's going through, and you can never assume what that person means to your life, or how they can come
never
back
take
to
any situation lightly, really.
Even kids,
every situation has an important. It really does, especially with kids, man.
Even kids,
especially with kids.
You might see a kid and he's like, oh, he's younger than me. Maybe when you're on your deathbed one day, you're gonna die before you're about to die, and then that kid ends up being a doctor, and he's the one who saves your life.
Yeah,
that's what
you never know how life the webs of life kind of connect people and situations. So
life connects.
It's a very I'm very glad this is how the story is ending. I'm very very inspired by your story. I know it's kind of weird to say that as a very close friend of yours, because I've seen it kind of unfold right at every process. But it is really inspiring, and it's
gotten all the bad calls.
I've gotten all the bad calls of like, I'm stuck and this is what happened. I don't know what to do, and I'm not. I mean, to be honest, you don't always know what to say to help somebody. Sometimes you just got to be there and listen to it. But I still find it inspiring, because it's very hard nowadays to find somebody who is as motivated and who is, inspired by life to just create and do things. Because it's not even about the money. It's not even about, the name or nothing. It's just about creating things and bringing things to life.
It's also about pride, right?
It's about pride. You want to make something.
You want to make something and leave something behind.
That's exactly it.
Right? That's why I wanted
leaving
to go to
a presence
too, right? That's why I wanted to go
make
to
a change.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to make a change in the world, right?
But it's very rare that somebody will say that. What do you want to do in life? I really want to make an impact.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very cliche. It's very movie-like, but it's real.
Anyways, Raf, let's try and wrap.
We gotta wrap this up.
This is,
I must say, we have to let you guys go. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the show. That was Rami's story of getting pulled over in the 7-figure business. We will be giving you guys, inshallah, the highway driving, the black dog, and chasing 6 figures. That will be my story. See you guys next week. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the show.
All right,
and
guys.
As always, take care of yourself.
Take it easy.